Hello and welcome. It is Vintage Championships quarterfinal time. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Chris Pakula, and we are watching the matchup between Taylor Pratt on the left side of your screen, who has led with an Emerald, a Divining Top, and a Fetch Land, against Reid Duke, number 3 ranked Magic player in the world. Showed up to the Vintage event, got a set of power, got a ride to the tournament literally yesterday. Dusted off the Vintage deck that he played a lot of 4 or 5 years ago. It's the Perfect Storm. And this is very much a throwback deck. Still a very viable strategy. He's been winning with it all day, and now here he sits in the quarterfinals, cracking a Fetch Land. Taylor, meanwhile, playing the Blue Angels deck, which I know is one of your favorites.
Oh, I mean, I've never played it, but it's certainly something I've always found very interesting. You know, it's a cool deck. When you can play Restoration Angel and Vintage, it's really...
Yeah, so it's essentially... It started out as the Bomberman deck with the sort of Ariok Salvagers Black Lotus Infinite combo, but evolved into a blue-white deck that just never taps out on its own turn.
Right, and I don't know Taylor, so I don't know if he ever actually played the Bomberman deck, or he just kind of
just know that's the origin story
for the Blue Angels deck, yes.
Yeah. All right, Reid has casting Gitaxian Probe, so he's taking a look at Taylor Pratt's hand. Sees Fetch Land, a second Divining Top. What was that, Sower and Trinket Mage?
So Taylor Pratt's hand is pretty bad, but he's hoping to have Divining Top and a lot of shuffle effects.
Right.
You know, fix that.
And Reid, meanwhile, sees that the coast is clear now. I don't know if he's got any gas. He's got a Duress, I think, which he's not going to bother casting because there isn't any permission over there. Yeah, Reid with the Perfect Storm, he's got all the restricted cards, and you know I asked him how he felt about the deck choice. You know, we said kind of an old school deck. He updated it by putting in the Gitaxian Probes, which he's pretty happy with. He liked the list. He just felt like he had more restricted cards than all of his opponents, and you would just string together the sort of broken effects that are available on Type 1 until you can tendrils them out.
Sure. You can find, when you have a lot of busted cards in your deck, you can find ways to win.
Yeah. Taylor cracks his Fetch Land so that he can Divining Top at the end of Reid's turn.
Taylor has probably drawn the worst card in his deck in his opening hand.
The second top?
No, the Sower of Temptation is probably worse than the second top.
Oh, yeah, that creature's not there for the Storm matchup.
No, I used to play Sower in my deck, and I was always like, back when I was playing like a Confidant Jace type deck, and I always was like, I can't believe I'm playing this card. I'm surprised it's good enough, but then there were like 3 tournaments in a row where I Vampiric tutored for it.
Wow.
And I was like, there's such a small subset of cards I ever Vampiric for. If this is one of them, I can't really take it out of my deck.
Fair. Now, if your opponent tinkers out Blightsteel and you have access to 4 mana, that seems ridiculous. It was
actually really good against the old versions of the shop decks. Like, if you just kind of took their Lodestone Golem, they just had no way to remove your creatures from play.
All right, well, Taylor saw 2 cards that he likes. Plus, he's got a backup top. So, drew 1, activated the top to draw the other. They were both lands.
Right, he'll be able to
so we saw his
away.
his hand was mana tight. Now he's got a 3rd land for this turn, or 3rd mana, 2nd land, and he's set up for next turn as well. He can reshuffle with either the Fetch Land or the Trinket Mage. He's going to reshuffle with the Fetch Land. Now, do you leave untapped mana and ship the turn representing mana drain here?
Well, you didn't have a lot of draw phases.
I mean, does he? Well, I mean, he had top.
Right.
And he saw 3 cards and drew 2 of them, and chose to draw 2 of them.
So
Reid knows there's a second top, so that second draw isn't as exciting. He could tap out for Trinket Mage. This looks like what he's going to do. To get Black Lotus?
It's either Black Lotus or Cage.
Engineered Explosives.
So
Really? Now, he knows he's playing against the Storm deck. I did hear some people saying that these guys have not seen each other's deck lists.
Right.
So, like, information is definitely relevant. He may not know exactly Reid's list. He may think Reid is on the Oath of Druids Burning Storm list.
Well, he played it for 0, so...
And he just wants to blow up
So
boxes.
he must either think one of 2 things. That, 1, Reid's going to have to win with a lot of artifact mana, so I'm going to be able to kill it. Or 2, he thinks Reid potentially has a win condition of Empty the Warrens. But I'm still a little surprised he didn't just get, like, Black Lotus.
Yeah, I would. Black Lotus seems pretty tempting to me. It lets you Jace with mana untapped next turn instead of having to tap out for Jace.
Right.
Meanwhile, Reid's going to Duress, and so Jace is not happening. Taylor didn't know the Duress was coming, but yeah. Jace seems like the obvious target for Reid.
I'm not sure.
And now he knows his opponent has basically nothing.
Right.
He's pretty good spot for Reid.
He's just going to have to cast... Oh, that's
What do you
about
draw?
the best possible draw, Vendilion Click.
Wow, that is a good one. And so he gets the top into play. He's got the 3 mana. He'll probably click on draw phase here.
Right. So now if Reid has a hand with only like 1 threat, he's going to be on a quick clock.
Yeah, 5 power. The Trinket Mage and the click.
See, Reid is holding Yawg Muscle, and that's another reason I thought he maybe could have got Grafdigger's Cage, which he has main deck.
Taylor Pratt could have gotten the Grafdigger's
Right.
Cage.
But it's possible maybe he just doesn't know what he's playing against at all. I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I'd be surprised if you don't know what Reid Duke is playing.
Well, one interesting thing about the ability to scout at this tournament is that because of the security...
Yeah, they kicked people out of the room.
Because of the security...
You could not watch.
Because they were so tight on security because they're worried about people having very expensive decks.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch because you got kicked out. So if you were up through the top tables all day, I'm not sure you could be scouted that easily.
That's fair. He did not click and draw. He's letting Reid do Necropotence.
Wow.
How do you not click draw phase there?
I really don't know. I'm not sure what Taylor's doing here.
He's going to respond with the top. He doesn't want Necro to resolve. That is really bad.
So there he got lucky there.
Does he have a blue card in his hand?
He does. Well, we know he has click. He also has a Sower of Temptation.
Well, Sower clearly wants
his
mission in life is to be pitched to Force of Will.
But yeah,
he can't let Necro resolve. This has to be.
He did not click on up after the draw.
Yeah. It's funny too. I was talking to Reid before the match, and he was like, "How do you know how many cards to Necro for? How far do you over Necro in a deck like this?" Looks like Taylor found the Force of Will. He is going to flip top for Force.
So he's doing the. He did the do it in response, so he gets to put the top back on top, and then still do the reshuffle of the top 3. Which is a play people do not make very often.
What does that do? I'm not sure. I didn't follow it.
You activate the 1 mana ability for top, which is the look at your top 3.
He paid a second
and then
time
in response, you put the top on top. So you get to draw the card.
Got it.
And then you look at the 3, even though one of those 3 is the top. Which kind of makes you feel like you traveled through time or something.
It lets you not draw the top next turn.
Yes.
All right, so he does Force of Will the Necropotence. Sower of Temptation found a reason to live, or die in this case.
But I would think he actually wants to draw the top next turn, doesn't he? Because he wants to put the top down.
He wants to draw Ponder,
Put the top down, as if it's some sort of car.
It's driving a convertible.
And then
no, Ponder seems pretty reasonable here, because he can draw into the Ponder.
But he knows he wants to click him. So you rather...
And the Ponder's going to get mental misstepped. So, yeah, Reid is not interested in the Ponder resolving or the top coming back. Taylor attacks for 2. Reid's actually down to 10 here. Yeah, that Necro, he would have really only had the 1 turn.
Yeah, that's interesting. Reid wouldn't have got that many cards. But...
Well, I mean, he would have gotten 1 awesome hand. He would have been on the spot to win as soon as he untapped.
So now, will he click?
Actually, it's his only card now, right? No? Wow.
Maybe.
That is surprising.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reid's looking at Twister in his hand, I think. I think I see Twister. I think I see a Vault. I do see a Vault. Maybe is that the Grim Tutor? It's definitely Yawg Muscle.
And I'm leaning over to see his cards. That's not
like it's going to change
that's
the
just
angle.
not going to work.
It's interesting. Like, does he twist or does he Yawg Muscle?
I guess if he's worried about Wheel of Fortune or Time Twister, that's why he's leaving up mana, maybe. Necropotence is gone.
He can get twisted into a counterspell.
Right, because he does have 4. He only has 3 mana drains in his deck, but.
Oh, it's a Grim Tutor. I thought I saw a Time Twister, but I did not.
Well, this is not going to go well for Reid, right?
Oh, I bet he's gonna go for Black Lotus to set up Yawg Muscle. I think that's Reid's play. Actually, when do you click? Like, you can't click away the tutored card. I mean, it's tricky to find a time to respond to get stuff, right?
Well, right. I mean, that's why.
Reid did not play his Mana Vault, which is mildly surprising to me. I guess if he's on the Black Lotus Yawg Muscle plan, it's not going to matter much.
And what other plane could he be on here?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the only one I see. And Grim Tutor is pay 3 life, so he's down to 7.
Right, so
Necro is not
Necropotence
relevant.
isn't very good.
He does get Black Lotus. Yeah, I think Reid's plan is to play Black Lotus and then use it to cast Yawgmoth's Will. He cracks a fetch land, which gives Taylor the opportunity to click. That's bad news.
Wow. That is pretty unreal.
He somehow, yeah, he got the timing on this click.
So Reid actually shouldn't be shuffling now, right?
He's still shuffling
But I mean,
from
he's gonna
the
have
Demonic
to,
Tutor.
He's gonna have to.
Presumably click. But the thing is, no, he has to shuffle. He has to finish the Demonic Tutor shuffle because he's going to be drawing.
No,
he's not. This is the Demonic Tutor shuffle, which he had skipped as a shortcut since he was about to search his library again. But now he's probably going to be drawing a replacement card here, so that he has to have a real shuffle to get the click card before the fetch land resolves. The fetch is on the bottom of the stack. Oh, he did have the Twister, so I saw that right. So you take Black Lotus because that shuts everything off.
Well,
he takes Yawgmoth's Will?
He decides to take Yawgmoth's Will.
Interesting. He still gets the, now he gets the Twister. Don't you take Black Lotus in that hand? Because then he's out of mana. He gets the 1 land from the fetch land. He can play Mana Vault. Like,
yeah, and then you're attacking
he has
him.
to say
and
go.
you're attacking him for 5, and he's at.
You're dropping him to
6.
but you are dropping him to 1, and then he gets to untap, I guess. So if you take Black Lotus, then Reid's done with this turn. You attack him to 1 and say go, and he's got Yawgmoth's Will Time Twister in his hand. But now he just goes Black Lotus Time Twister. This seems worse.
He already played a land. He's at 6, and you're tapped out.
Interesting. So Reid has already played a land for the turn, right?
Yes.
He's got a Black Lotus in his hand. He's got a Time Twister in his hand. He's got a Mana Vault in his hand, and he wants to untap. He's going to do it all next turn. Taylor has no cards in his hand. He's just drawing a card off of a shuffled deck. Divining Top.
We knew it was a top.
Oh, we knew it was a top. Oh, right. This is from the top before. All right, so he looks at lands. Is that Spell Snare?
Oh, Time Walk.
Time Walk is lethal.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
my goodness.
So,
I liked Reid's play of say and go and then planning to go for it next turn, and that is the one card of the format that totally destroys him.
Unbelievable.
Probably not the only card, but that card destroys him.
Yeah.
Crazy game. Taylor Pratt up a game with Blue Angels.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that he's clicked. Obviously, the second time he didn't click actually was fine. It worked out.
It worked out great.
I'm not sure he took the right card. I have to think about it more. But it certainly, he wasn't hurt by the fact that he waited till after the draw phase. The first time, though, I'm still sort of shocked. The first time around, he didn't do it.
Right.
And of course, that one worked out too because he was then able to use Force of Will, where otherwise.
But he didn't know there was a Force of Will, and he didn't know there was a Time Walk.
Right. So
that Divining Top just found him awesome cards both times.
Yeah, Divining Top with a lot of shuffle effects is powerful. So let's look at the sideboards here.
Yeah, I don't blame Reid for not going for it. Like if he plays Lotus and twists, he's got 1 mana floating. It's probably a blue mana, and.
Right, and he can't. Right,
I mean, or he's got 3 colorless because he spends that mana on the vault. Like his odds of winning from there are pretty small.
So let's see what Taylor has. So Taylor has a lot of tough decisions to make because he has, for example, in his sideboard, he has Grafdigger's Cage. Do you bring that in? Is that good enough?
Turning off Yawgmoth's Will is a big deal.
He has.
I mean, you should have 1 Grafdigger's Cage to Trinket Mage for.
Sure, he already has that one main deck.
Yeah.
So now he has Pithing Needle. You can name Yawgmoth's Bargain, you can name Necropotence, you can name Memory Jar. Do you care about any of that? He has a null.
Well, no, you have to get the chance to. They have to play that card, then it goes to your turn, then you play it. Well, you can preemptively do it, but you don't know which one they're going to have.
Remember, he does have a lot of cards that look at. He has some cards that allow him to look at Reid's hand. A few.
How many?
I guess it's only the clicks.
The clicks, which took the powerful thing, probably.
He has Flusterstorm, obviously.
Yes, obviously Flusterstorm.
I mean, he has Rest in Peace. I mean, he has a lot of anti-graveyard. I'm not sure what's worth bringing in, what isn't.
I mean, the 1 cage to tutor for seems like the best.
Right.
I mean, Reid's not fundamentally a graveyard deck, so I don't think you load up on anti-graveyard because he can certainly win without a Yawgmoth's Will.
You're bringing in nulls. It's kind of interesting, but it's got to be better than. I mean, the cards you have to take out. You have to take out Sower of Temptation.
Yes.
I think you take out Engineered Explosives. Going after his mana,
so.
I'd rather have a null because you can go after mana if you want to, or you can counter Necropotence or Yawgmoth's Bargain, Memory Jar. He actually doesn't have any sorts of Plowshare's main deck, which is a little unusual for this deck, I think. So he doesn't have to take those out because he doesn't have them.
Fair enough.
And that's about it. That's all.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of dead cards, so
Reid
Flusterstorm is awesome, and
right. So Reid is probably bringing in Thoughtseize, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, and then he has to make some decisions on whether he wants to empty the Warrens, whether he wants to bring in the Blightsteel Colossus to go with his Tinker. Although he told me that he didn't like Tinker against the control decks because
yeah, when they counter it, it's a beating.
Because when they counter it,
you're opening yourself up to a 2 for 1.
He's just down too many resources. A lot of people, until you play these kind of the Tinker decks, you don't realize like every card really does matter in a lot of these matchups because especially after you mulligan and like. Right. And it can be really tough to just lose that artifact and get nothing for it.
Right.
I also don't. Windfall's a lot better on the play. So
he is on the play.
So he's on the play. So
he probably should have the Windfall.
So he also told me he didn't love Memory Jar against control decks.
Yeah, we saw him sideboard that out the last time he was on camera. Yeah, he basically keeps losing on camera. He wins every other match.
That is
like we watched the only loss he had so far, and now he's down a game here.
So yeah, so Thoughtseize and the two Power Blasts definitely coming in. Besides that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when he decides to bring in Empty the Warrens. And of course, after he's seen Engineered Explosives,
it makes Empty the Warrens worse.
Makes it quite a bit worse. He probably should know that I don't really think he needs Chain of Vapor in this matchup. That's probably something to take out, especially if he thinks he doesn't care about a Grafdigger's Cage. Because he can definitely win without.
I mean, I doubt he knows the Blue Angels list. It's not like, oh, my opponent's playing Blue Angels. I know what he's got.
Right, but he saw Trinket Mage, so he can.
They can deduce that there's a lot of one-of artifacts that can get tutored up. Like, whatever the hate card is, he wants to be able to chain it. I would have one chain-type effect in my deck if I was Reid, just for whatever he's going to come up with. Like, it gets you out of so many situations.
Right. I guess it's just not worth the risk.
Right. And also, I mean, you can start chaining your own Moxes for Storm Count if you get desperate.
Oh, true. I forget about that play. So Reid is mulliganing. Taylor's hand looked pretty solid. He had a Flusterstorm, a Trinket Mage, some land. I don't know what the rest of the spells were. And really, his deck, he's playing another one of these kind of fairish vintage decks where he's not looking for a busted draw.
Right.
He doesn't have Time Vault in his deck. He doesn't have Tinker in his deck. So he's really like a land and spells deck. Yeah, you can't mulligan into Black Lotus Jace. That's not a. It's good, but it's not the kind of thing you can try to mulligan into. Taylor's got some sort of cat with laser eyes t-shirt going.
Let's see what these 6 look like. Reid Duke down a game, down a card. Mana Vault's a good start.
Mana Vault's a very good start.
Couple Duresses. Is there a land in there?
It's a fetch land right there, right? Yeah.
Sure. It's got to be a keeper for 6.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to do better. I don't know if you lead Duress or Vault. You probably lead Vault. Turn 2 Duress?
I would think
What's the blue card?
Thirst for Knowledge, I believe. Is that right? Is that in his deck? Did I make that up? He doesn't. I'm wrong, right? He doesn't actually have.
It seems awkward. It seems too expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what that is then. Because he can't have Thirst for Knowledge in his deck.
Oh, fetches out the Underground.
Maybe it's Tinker?
Would you Duress here? He's also got 2 Duresses, so he can follow up with another Duress.
Yeah, I don't have.
Mana Vault doesn't do anything yet, I don't think.
I feel like I Duress. Oh, well, that makes. That's
easy.
That makes life easy.
Probe.
Yeah, because the reason you want to Duress is because you want to be able to take Black Lotus or Ancestral Recall, right?
Yeah. All right, so he sees Drain, Flusterstorm, Click, Trinket Mage, top, land. That is a good draw.
Right. Without knowing Reid's exact hand, it's a little tough to know what he's going to Duress.
Right.
When he casts it.
I mean, the Flusterstorm is going to be annoying at some point.
Right.
Let's get 2 Duresses.
Right, now if it was
so you get Duress now to get the Flusterstorm.
It would be even tougher because I could potentially see taking Click. But since it's Duress, at least our options are limited.
He's not going to take the top.
Oh, so you put your Ponder, so he's just going to try to get a land number 2. So
next turn I can do a couple things. I think I saw a Jet in there, which would be nice with this hand. But I'm not sure. I only got a quick flash. It probably was not Jet, or he wouldn't be reshuffling.
It's interesting which vintage decks. Like we saw a deck earlier today that had multiple copies of Preordain, but didn't have any ponders. And now both these decks have a ponder and 0 Preordains. Now I don't know if the decision trees there as far as who's playing ponder and who's playing Preordain are completely consistent. Like if they try to tell us why
I don't know.
they had one over the other, I don't know if we'd get actually answers that all made sense. Like Taylor's deck, for example, feels sort of more like a Preordain deck to me, since he's more about smoothing out draws. I always liked Preordain when in decks where I liked wastelanding people, but neither of these decks do that.
Reid's still thinking. Did he have a Mox now? He does have, yeah. He does have the Jet.
All right.
And plays the Mana Ball. Yeah, that all makes sense. Another land for Taylor, so he's on track for turn 3 click. No accelerants.
Taylor's not going to bother leaving up Flusterstorm.
Yeah, not for turn 2.
Well, especially it can't do anything because of the vault.
Right, right.
So he wouldn't be able to counter time twist.
All right, Reid can duress twice. He can clear a path, but I don't know that we've seen an actual threat. There's definitely a blue card in there.
Yeah.
Blue cards tend to be good in vintage.
Especially the ones in Reid's deck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
not wasting time.
It ain't Trinket Mage, I'll tell you that.
Ancestral.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Blue cards tend to be good. Yeah, you were right, Randy. I cannot disagree.
I drew a Necro. I don't think he's got a ritual, though. Does he even have a land?
He's got a Gitaxian Probe, right? No, he does have ritual. Wow.
Yeah, Dark Ritual Necro is clearly the play here. I mean, if he had a land, he might think about clearing a path with Duress to make sure Force Will didn't just come off the top. Force Will probably would have countered Ancestral. But yeah, Dark Ritual Necro let him sculpt a perfect hand to just overwhelm the permission in Taylor's hand.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's tempted to wait a turn and fire off those Duresses. I doubt that's the
No,
play.
even he's seen his hand.
Yeah. All right, Dark Ritual Necro.
Now, is that a Randy Bueller signed Necropotence?
That is, in fact, a Randy Bueller signed Necropotence.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if those are. What did I sign? I think I signed him to Torax for Reid because of my Grand Prix Philadelphia performance. Inspired him to go on to great things. But Necropotence, I can't compete with that.
It's also a Randy Bueller signed Dark Ritual for the record.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Yeah,
all
I
right.
do sort of
What did he set aside? Did we hear the number?
Is it possible that Reid has been like sapping
8.
our strength somehow? Every time we sign a card, he grows more powerful. If anyone else has signed any cards for Reid and you feel like maybe the next morning you felt up, you didn't feel quite as good, please let us know. And maybe his hair grows longer every time too.
Ours has certainly gotten shorter.
Now I know what's happening now.
Last time we were in the booth together, we had a lot more hair between the two of us.
Wow.
All right, discarding 5.
I'm just going to discard all these amazingly
the
powerful
chain,
cards.
The bargain's kind of redundant. The wheel, the windfall.
There's a Gitaxian Probe, which is really not.
Yeah. Why would I pay 2 life for a card when I can get them for 1?
I don't.
Not to graveyard. Does remove from the game. Yep. Reid was right on top of it. Does not get to draw either. That's what that die is there to remind him. Emerald. It's not as good as setting aside 8 cards.
Right. So.
Emerald Island. So he's got the click online now.
Right. He also has Flusterstorm, which is
relevant.
Although
Reid kept both his Duresses.
He hasn't even used 1 Duress.
Yeah, Reid may be setting up for a 2-turn kill. Like, I don't know that he's going to go for it now. He might be better off duressing, setting aside some more cards.
Right. The fact that he has 2 Duress makes it really tough.
And he never did come up with a land for turn 2. So, I mean, there's some value to Reid in having a turn where it's like play a land, duress twice. He's got a Pyro. Not quite sure what the threats are.
Yeah, I mean, Reid.
Did he keep Grim
He has a Demonic
out of
Tutor?
that?
I think he has a Tutor.
It might be a Grim Tutor, which is pretty awkward because it's pay 3 life.
But,
all right, Taylor going for the Vanillion click.
No point to wait for the draw phase.
Right now,
there is no draw phase.
Right, there is no draw phase. Might as well do it now. All right, we see Grim Tutor, Mox Emerald, Cabal Ritual, Pyroblast, Duress, Demonic Tutor, Duress.
So you just have to take Demonic Tutor, right?
Yeah, there was not a lot of gas in that Necro. He still can't come up with a land. He said he thought he might have one land too many in his deck, but not this draw. You would take Demonic Tutor here? That seems pretty reasonable.
What else can you take, really?
I mean, a Duress?
You could take a Duress.
The Pyro's not live.
Um,
The Pyro's for later. You could take the Emerald, but yeah, taking DT I think is right. I agree with you. You take Demonic Tutor. Is Threshold turned on for Cabal Ritual yet?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Another reason to take Demonic Tutor is because Reid can't Duress and cast Grim Tutor.
True.
So you'll get to untap with your Mana Drain and Flusterstorm if Reid Grim Tutors.
I don't think Reid's going to Grim Tutor.
He's just going to Duress, Necro down to nothing.
That's what I think. I mean, that hand, what's he going to...
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
like, what would he get with this? He could Grim Tutor for... If he had a Black Lotus or Yawgmoth's Will, he could get the other half of that.
Here's a question. Do you think he has Blightsteel Colossus in his deck?
So, DT for...
Because, I mean, he's seen...
For Tinker?
He's seen Taylor's hand. Right.
Reid's also going to take 3 from that click, by the way, so his second Necro is kind of awkward. All right, Taylor decided on the Demonic Tutor, which does seem like the right call there. Reid gets a replacement card,
right,
which we haven't seen, and Taylor's going to be done.
Is Reid's route to victory getting Blightsteel and play this turn? He can't actually...
No, he can't. He doesn't have the mana. If he plays...
Drew Swamp, though.
Oh, his replacement card's a Swamp. That's a good draw.
So he
not as good as Demonic Tutor,
can
but
Tinker.
If Tinker's... Yeah, he can Tinker.
If he has
he may or may not have a Blightsteel in his deck.
He can Grim Tutor for Tinker and Tinker away the Mana Vault. But I don't know if he bordered.
Yeah, he is quite low on life too. He's at virtual 6 because he's going to get hit by a Vidalian Click before his next turn.
Right. But you know the Blightsteel wins still from this position.
If he has Blightsteel in his deck, it wins from this position. Right, he would go land, tap, Mana Vault, spend 1 colorless off Mana Vault and 2 black for the Grim Tutor, which drops him to 6. Then get the Tinker away the Mana Vault, Necro for 1 or 2.
Oh no, you know what? Scary. It doesn't win because Trinket Mage can block, chump block.
And he knows about the Trinket Mage,
right.
And he cannot afford to Duress. Well, Duress doesn't get it anyway.
Right.
No, that plan loses.
Yeah, Trinket Mage.
I'm not even sure Blightsteel's in his deck, but... All right, well, he's on the Duress plan, which seems pretty reasonable. There is a Flusterstorm and a Mana Drain over there.
Oh. Is this reasonable? I mean, it almost tells me that Reid feels like he's in trouble. Because
what? I mean, Duress, Necro for 5? I mean, I think the line is Duress, Necro for 5. It's not great.
No.
He untapped at 1 with 5 new cards to go with his Cabal Ritual. Takes the Flusterstorm.
Oh. Apparently the players can hear us if we talk to them.
Yeah, we got to be a little quieter. All right, well, he's doing what Duress does. He gets him to Threshold. So now Cabal Ritual makes 5 mana. So now he's got an Emerald, and he can play Grim Tutor now.
I would think that Grim Tutoring is just better.
Yeah.
The Necroing, unless... I don't know his list as well. I mean, I know the list, but I don't know...
No, you're totally right. Yeah, this seems way better. Yeah, getting to Threshold, does that make that Cabal Ritual...
You just cast it. So.
Right. Yawgmoth's Will doesn't quite do enough. I mean, the question here is he ready to get Yawgmoth's Will, or does he need to get, a card drawer of some kind?
The problem with Yawgmoth's Will is he doesn't have... The only tutor he has is Grim Tutor, so he can't recast it after he gets hit by this click.
Well, he's not going to get hit by the click. He's trying to win now.
Oh, he's trying...
Yeah, he's trying to win now. He played the Cabal Ritual. He's playing the Grim Tutor. He's not trying to Necro and draw cards next turn. He's trying to win immediately. And I've lost track of the mana, so he tapped Swamp and Mana Vault for Cabal Ritual.
If he was trying to win immediately, why would he Duress twice?
To get to Threshold, because it's free.
To get to Threshold.
It's Threshold and it's Storm Count.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've lost track of the Storm. Wow, I did not see this line. I forgot. Yeah, Duress to get to Threshold. Cabal Ritual to get a bunch of mana. Cast Grim Tutor. Pick up Yawgmoth's Will.
Did you have to keep it down?
And now he can cast the Yawgmoth's Will. And presumably he has enough mana left floating for the Ritual and the Cabal Ritual.
Would this be more
And the
exciting
Grim Tutor.
if we whispered?
Wow.
So
That hand did not look like a winner.
Yeah, this was my inexperience with
Wow.
my inexperience with Storm decks made it difficult for me to see this line.
What got clicked away here again?
Demonic Tutor got clicked away.
Yeah, which would have been better than Grim Tutor.
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, this line, Reid would just be up 6 life. So yeah, Ritual out of the graveyard, Cabal Ritual out of the graveyard, still at threshold. And so now he gets a tutor, and he's got it. Can he just Tendrils?
Is that enough?
I mean, I don't know the exact storm count. I don't know the exact mana, but
he cast Duress,
Mox,
Cabal Ritual,
Yawgmoth's Will, Cabal Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Grim Tutor. If it's not 10, it's really close. It's 10.
Oh.
Wow!
Wow.
Reid Duke, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was.
I did not think that hand was a winner.
No, neither did I. He was really close to it not being a winner.
No, yeah, I think it was like basically looked like exactly 10 spells and exactly enough mana.
Yeah, Duress, Mox, Cabal Ritual.
Right, Grim Tutor.
Yawgmoth's
Will is 6. Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Grim Tutor, and the Tendrils is the 10th spell.
He couldn't cast Grim Tutor twice, though.
Yeah, he did. Why
He
not?
put himself to. I thought he was at 3.
He was at virtual 6 because of the click hit, but he never got hit by the click.
Oh,
He
Grim
just
Tutor
won.
costs 2 life or 3 life?
3 life. He went from 9 to 6 and then from 6 to 3.
Ah.
The
Alright.
click never got to attack. Like, we kept thinking, oh, maybe he'll ret Necro and then win on the following turn. And he was just like, no, I think.
So exactly 10.
And the mana looked super tight, too. Like, when he was Yawgmoth's Willing, like Cabal Ritual off the mana drain, of the mana vault mana to get 3 colorless.
And,
Yeah, the mana was tight, but it worked, and it was exactly 10 spells.
yeah. And this
Wow.
this is when we talked about Grafdigger's Cage.
Grafdigger's
Right,
Cage would have prevented that. Yeah, Yawgmoth's Will. Usually, Yawgmoth's Will makes it a lot easier. Certainly, there are plenty of hands that can only win with a Yawgmoth's Will, but often you can like wait a turn
Right, but he has
set it up again.
So he just went through his deck. He has Rest in Peace. He has Tormount Script. It seems like he
wants to attack the graveyard.
he's really
he knows
not,
how good.
He's not sure which configuration of graveyard
He's got a little bit of everything.
I sort of
Needles
think
in the yard.
I mean,
Rest in Peace is going to come in. He clearly lost that game to Yawgmoth's Will.
man, I really don't mind Needle. Like if you just
But you have to preemptively do it.
fine.
But what do you name? How do you know which one he drew? You're preemptively needling a restricted card.
Yeah, but it's his deck is Necropotence is really good in this matchup, and yeah, I'm not sure.
But I mean, so's Bargain.
Bargain's a lot harder to cast.
It is.
Let me tell you, mana drain a Bargain. You can do exciting things.
Yes, you can.
So Taylor Pratt has left the table. Possibly he's overwhelmed by Reid Duke's aura.
That was-
aura of niceness. Yeah.
Or his ability to win. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way Taylor thought he had lost that game. I mean, I think Taylor was worried, but
Yeah.
it's
I
like,
mean, you
I'll take
always-
the DT.
it's one of those situations where you don't bother counting up their stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you do as
I
much
think-
damage
I
as you can and make
right,
them
I think
work
you
it
have
out.
to take the Demonic Tutor. I don't think that.
I mean,
I
in
think
retrospect,
it was the
what
right-
if he takes Cabal Ritual?
there wasn't. Was there a Cabal
Yeah.
Ritual?
That's why the Duress got him to Threshold and turned on Cabal Ritual, which got cast twice. Like, if you take the mana, I mean, there was a Mox in that hand too, which he needed. If you take Cabal Ritual, then I'm not sure that. Then he has to both Demonic Tutor and
Yeah,
Grim
but then
Tutor.
he'd have more options because
He has to like
but he can
DT for
demonic-
the Lotus to cast the Grim to Yawgmoth's Will. Might work anyway, but I don't know if there's a card you
My-
can take to
my
bust that
guess
up.
is I don't.
I mean, it turns out like he didn't draw any new relevant information. I mean, 'cause he drew the Swamp, which was relevant. I don't know if he was exactly enough mana. It may have been that Swamp mana was required for that line of play to work. I'm not sure. I didn't keep track of the floating mana perfectly enough.
Yeah,
It looked tight, but I don't know if it was every single drop spent.
Yeah, it was a pretty. I don't know if Reid had any valid lines if he said go, or I mean, obviously he figured out that he could. So what I'm wondering is at what point did Reid realize he could just win this turn? I'm not sure because it looked like he wasn't sure.
He went in the tank and he figured out a line, and yeah.
So what I'm kind of wondering is, did he figure out he could win this turn, or did he figure out that saying
He had no choice
that
but-
saying go was bad first?
He must have figured out he could win, because
That's what I think.
Necro for 5 and say go is plausible.
I think so too.
Right, you can duress, Necro for 5, and then cross your fingers. That
Right.
line's not awful, but like, now you're looking, okay, duress. Oh, nah, that line gets you to threshold. Cabal Ritual, Grim Tutor, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an atypical line for a Storm
No.
deck. Like, if you spend all day playing Storm, you see these things faster, and you're like, it's a pretty typical sequence. Every tutor, you think, what does Yawgmoth's Will do? And yeah, it turned out Yawgmoth's Will got him to exactly 10 spells.
Well, Yawgmoth's Will's... Yeah, Yawgmoth's Will's a ridiculous card. And that's why, people not familiar with the format, they might think it's crazy to like sideboard in a bunch of graveyard hate against a deck
One card.
that deals one card, but I mean, a huge portion of Reid's wins are
It is
off.
the most powerful card in the format.
Yeah.
Right? Yawgmoth's Will, hands down. Like, more powerful than Black Lotus. It's got to be the most powerful card in the format.
Wow.
Lotus is maybe a little more consistent, right?
I guess it's pretty tough to talk about. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how exactly you define power, but I mean, it feels like Yawgmoth's Will does the most ridiculous things in the format. The single, I don't know. It's my pick for the most powerful card.
yeah. I mean, Black Lotus it's real good.
I agree. You gotta do more work to set up the Yawgmoth's Will.
Yeah. David Williams is tweeting us, telling us it was indeed exact mana, even though we lost track.
So he needed the swamp off the click?
Right.
Jeez. Well then,
But Williams is also saying that it was actually a pretty easy line. But David should understand that we're trying to be entertaining as well. So we're we're losing track of things a little bit. But yeah, count your mana, count your spells.
if the
That's
spells
it.
add up to 10 and you can cast them all,
Yeah.
you can win with tendrils.
Yeah, and he was kind of forced into it. So
Yeah.
the interesting.
No, I'm confident if I was in his seat, I would have found that line.
Right. The interesting decisions are like when you aren't sure you can win by going for it, but you also aren't sure if you can win by saying go.
Yeah, Taylor drew no lands.
Which happens less with this deck.
Reid, I see a mix of land and spells. And colors, that's probably good. Keeps drawing. He's only got like one Grim Tutor in his deck, right? He just keeps drawing it. I think he's drawn it all 3 games. Which is not restricted, by the way. You can play more than one Grim Tutor.
I have never cast Grim Tutor.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, I played, 7, 8 years ago, I played this deck. I had 4 Grim Tutors at that point in time. Had like 3,000 less cards to choose from. But
Yeah, I've never cast that spell.
yeah, it's Portal 3 Kingdoms. 1 BB. It's a demonic tutor, but more expensive and costs 3 life.
And,
But it's a hard tutor. Puts it in your
I don't
hand.
know if I've ever cast Imperial Seal either.
Yeah, Reid also has the Imperial Seal. That's basically Vampiric Tutor, but it's a sorcery.
Right, and much better in a deck that has 4 Gitaxian Probes.
Yes, definitely.
Reid is not playing a top, right? Yeah.
All right, Taylor goes down to 6.
Would love to see how Taylor finally decided on what combination of annuls and graveyard hate and so forth he went with. There's an annul. There's a click.
Island Plains.
Pretty good draw, I think.
Oh, Sapphire. Yeah, I got a lot better when I saw the Sapphire.
But his only counterspell here is annul.
All right. So, yeah, you leave up a double on turn 1. You can click turn 2.
Pretty good.
Reid draws. Don't know. Leaves the fetch land and says go. Another land. I don't think he wanted land there, but
No.
now what? Do you click?
No,
do you Trinket
I
Mage,
think
or you just stay untapped?
I would probably just leave up. I wouldn't cast Trinket Mage till next turn when you have 4 mana. I think I would leave up a null here. And then click at the end
Click
of the
end
turn.
step instead of draw phase. I'll buy that. Reid cracks his fetch land.
It's hard for Reid to have a There's no reason to click him on his draw step because I think it's hard for Reid to have an explosive turn without a null kind of being really bad for him.
All right, Reid cracks fetch land and casts Vampiric Tutor.
Now
click becomes a little more tempting.
Well, now, right, after he draws.
Right, this is all at Taylor's end step. So Reid's going to pick the card he wants to draw and then untap and draw it. Taylor does have the ability to click it away during draw. You've got to click draw phase now, right?
I believe that Reid is holding Pyroblast. So he will ruin this plan.
Wow. What's he going to Vampiric for? Oh, just Ancestral.
Just Ancestral. Value.
Just value. Yeah, Reid apparently needs multiple cards. Alright. Untap.
So I'm sure he's going to click after the draw.
Draw. No, I didn't see him slow him down.
Wow.
Taylor's not an aggressive clicker.
Maybe he's worried about. Yeah, I don't know.
Could be worried about Pyroblast, but mostly he seems content to just wait a little while with those clicks. Reid plays a fetch land. Now he can Ancestral with Pyroblast back up. I think that's his plan for Taylor's end step. But down comes the click. You just Pyro that? Ancestral's response first? I think you Ancestral first.
How many cards does Reid have?
Since you have the Pyro.
So
does he have to discard if he
I think
Ancestrals?
he'll be going back to 7.
When he's down a card from the Vampiric, he'll be playing the Blast.
I assume he clicked Reid.
I assume, yes.
Or maybe this didn't even resolve.
Oh, click is not resolved.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the click as a spell is on the stack. Right, he hasn't had to choose a target yet. And Reid is in fact going to Ancestral as a response to the Vendilion click, which Taylor can't do anything about. So Reid draws 3.
Black Lotus.
That's a good card.
Must be nice.
It's better in Reid's deck than just about, anything short of Bomberman. I think, he's got the Grim Tutor. He's got 8 cards, so Pyroblast is clearly the correct answer here. He get blown out by Misstep, but doesn't.
He didn't misstep the Ancestral, so.
Fair. All right, 7 cards. No click for you. Reid looking pretty good now, right?
Well,
what's Taylor got left? An Annul. He's got an Annul and a Trinket Mage.
So he can.
And he drew mana again, which is not what he wanted with this draw.
No.
Is he like Trinket Mage for top?
Trinket Mage for top, or
play the Mana Crypt so you can leave untapped mana?
Cage. I'm not sure which one he's
Cage.
gonna do.
Not bad. Yeah, you Trinket Mage and you do it off the Mana Crypt. You're gonna have to start flipping, but he wants to have untapped mana for the
You gotta
Annul.
remember that Taylor actually does not have Tinker in his deck.
True.
So his
Crypt could eventually kill him.
His Mana Crypt is permanent.
Yeah, so he shuffled a top to the front and a Cage. Those are the choices. Top or Cage. Now look at the rest of the deck, see if there's any other good choices. Didn't even pause on the Lotus. He's got plenty of mana.
Yeah, Lotus doesn't do anything in his deck.
Yeah, he's got. It's top or Cage. What do you get?
And
I mean, top gives you the ability to start manipulating your draw and actually draw some gas. Cage slows Reid down by turning off his Yawgmoth's Well.
I sort of think you have to get top because you just have nothing.
Right. If you go Cage, you are completely out of gas. You're just drawing cards one at a time.
But it's not like you're holding a fetch land. I mean, it's...
No, but you may find one.
Sure.
He likes your line. I think I agree with it too. Like, top means he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable on the next, couple of turns, but he's more likely, 3, 4, 5 turns from now, that's really going to add up. I think I agree with this line, even though it is...
Oh, he does have
risky.
a fetch land. I forgot about that.
That makes top better.
That does make top a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, now he can top, he can flip. What's the one card in his hand?
It's steel set.
It's a blue card. It's still the Annul. Right. All right. Reid untaps. Reid draws. Wheel of Fortune. All right, so he's got some artifact mana. He's got Black Lotus in particular.
Do you annul Black Lotus?
It's an excellent question. Yes, I think you do.
I think you do too.
Taylor agrees with us. Yep, no Black Lotus for you, sir. Which he doesn't even know Reid has the Academy, but it also makes the Academy worse.
Yeah.
Reid does still have a Sapphire, though. Yeah, and now Taylor is completely empty.
Yep.
And he's not even going to bother to spin his top now, right?
Which certainly makes Reid's Wheel of Fortune less exciting.
Yes. I have 7 cards. You have 0.
Is that his only business spell?
He has a tutor. He's a Grim Tutor.
Well.
Yeah, I think Reid's trying to figure out what's a Grim Tutor for. He can play a Sapphire. He can Grim Tutor. He has an Academy. I think he has a Dark Ritual as well.
Yeah, this seems like he should be able to do something exciting.
Oh, clearly. It's just a question of what.
Well,
I mean, Yawgmoth's Will's in play.
Yawgmoth's Will's pretty good because
That's usually option number 1 is figure out if Yawgmoth's Will wins you the game on the spot.
Yawgmoth's Will's, I mean, he lets him Vampiric with Ancestral. So
A Yawgmoth's Will, it seems likely. Like, that's line number 1, right? Can I, between Dark Ritual, Grim Tutor, a Mox, Yawgmoth's Will, Lotus is already in the graveyard.
Yeah, I
sure
think,
looks like that line is lethal.
Yeah, it looks.
I mean, it could be the Academy, but I'm not sure the Academy makes more than 1 mana. There's only the 1 Mox. Yeah, he's just working out. Is this Yawgmoth's Will line? Grim Tutor for Yawgmoth's Will. Does that kill you? What are we at? That was the first spell? Alright, Storm counts at 1. Alright, let's do the math. Ritual is 2. Grim Tutor is 3. Sure looks like that's going to add up to mana and 10 spells.
Yeah. It does seem pretty good.
To what Taylor's thinking? Yeah, it looks like Dark Ritual's on the stack, and Taylor is like, I cannot wait to use this fetch as a reshuffle. My opponent is, Reid casting Dark Ritual is kind of a sign that he's going to go for it.
Right.
And Taylor is like,
he has to,
if I stop the Dark Ritual, that probably stops the entire hand.
So he has 3 mental missteps to try to get here? That's basically it?
Yeah. I think this is the correct play. I mean, his opponent's going to go for it. If he stops the Dark Ritual, his opponent's going to be down to 2, maybe 3 mana, and he's not going to be able to Yawgmoth's Will. So Taylor is correctly suspects that Reid has found, a line for going for it.
This is pure gambling. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna look at 3 cards. If one of them's a mental misstep, he can put it on top, flip the top, draw it, pay for it with Phyrexian mana, and counter the ritual. Yeah, 3 outs.
It's exciting.
3 cards with 3 outs.
What's gonna hurt is if the top card is a Flusterstorm, and he could have just
flipped blind.
Oh.
Nope. Ancestral, Mana Drain, Tundra. Put the Ancestral on top, cross your fingers, and hope you get to draw it next turn.
Pretty good if you get to your next turn.
But that's a pretty big if.
Yeah.
All right, 3 black and a blue. Grim Tutor, floating a black.
You didn't have the lamp for him, did you?
Yeah, Reid's playing slowly, but I think this is it.
I mean, it's a land drop. Land. The floating mana gets you to Yawgmoth's Will mana.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking at Necro. Does this not add up? I mean, he's thumbed a Necro to the front. Yeah, he's drawing Necro Bones.
Did we miss something?
So he's got a black floating, and he's going to go land, Necro Bones.
Really surprised. I mean, I didn't count, so maybe we're.
No, I didn't count either. It just looked. It would definitely. There's no if there. So Reid decides for Necro Bones.
Because the annul counts. There was a null cast this turn, so that'd be another spell for Storm.
Did the Black Lotus get annulled this turn? That was this turn, right? Yeah. Storm count's got to be there. How was that? How was Yawgmoth's Will right here, not Yawgmoth's Will? He would go Black Lotus, Ritual.
I don't know.
I don't think he has the blue for Ancestral. Like, he only gets black mana off the Yawgmoth's Will, because he would have had to tap out for it. How many did he set aside? It looks like he went down to 6.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he was at.
Want to make sure he doesn't lose
13,
the time walk.
so he went to 8.
Trying to make sure he doesn't lose the time walk again.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's funny because...
So it was Black Lotus, annul. That was this turn, right? Yeah, it was.
I believe it was
Black
this turn.
Lotus, annul, Mox Sapphire, Dark Ritual, Tutor, Yawgmoth's Will, Dark Ritual, Black Lotus, Tutor Tendrils. Does it? You know what? The Tutor, he doesn't have the Tendrils mana. He taps out for Yawgmoth's Will. Black Lotus and Dark Ritual is 5. No, he's 2 mana short. Grim Tutor leaves him at 2. I don't think he had the mana to cast the Tendrils.
So this is funny. So Reid is probably thinking Taylor can at most draw 1 card, but because we know he's ancestral, he could actually. There's actually multiple combinations of cards he could draw here.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think Reid had the mana to cast the Tendrils. He could tutor for it because it's a Grim Tutor, though. It's the expensive tutor, and Vampiric he can't get the blue mana for the Vampiric because he had to completely tap out.
Right.
So basically, annulling that Black Lotus messed up the whole hand.
Oh, don't accidentally put those in your hand, Taylor. What is that? Is that Flusterstorm?
It is.
Wow. So Flusterstorm hidden on top of your library with.
Not bad.
With top in play is pretty good. Right. That is Flusterstorm, right? You see that double check?
Yeah, and he's sitting on Mana Drain and all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can mean. He really. Why? Oh, he had to tap the Sapphire for Ancestral.
Yeah. All right, Reid has a Petal.
I think Reid is
an
going to
Academy. Lose. He's got 1,000,000 mana this time.
But there should be no way to play around Flusterstorm, right?
On top of the library, so it can't even be duressed.
Right. I don't think there's really a way to play around it.
I think you're right. Wow.
I mean, he doesn't have Mindbreak Trap. He doesn't have Stifle. I don't think there's anything he can do.
Jeez. Yeah, he was just 2 mana short of casting the Tendrils last time. He could get the Storm count to 10 if he had tutored up Yawgmoth's Will, but he couldn't get a blue mana for the Ancestral, which means he couldn't use the more mana efficient Vampiric Tutor. He was only going to have black mana.
I think that's right, but
yeah, if he could have somehow gotten a mix of mana, but he would have been Lotus for black and Ritual. That was only 5 mana post Yawgmoth's Will. So his line seems right. I mean, given that, you necro for as much as you can, try to sculpt a perfect hand. He probably has a hand that can win through a lot of stuff.
Right.
But his opponent had found Ancestral, crossed his fingers, hoped he would get to untap and cast it, and did.
So,
Mana Crypt, I believe, is getting annulled here.
I don't know if I would cast Annul. Like, wouldn't you rather leave up Mana Drain and have the Flusterstorm option? Just
interesting. Yeah. This does mean he cannot cast both Mana Drain and Flusterstorm.
Right, because he can. I mean, yeah, under no circumstances can he cast Mana Drain now. So I don't really get it.
Reid can, in theory, go off, get Flusterstorm, say go, and get another turn.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like that's what
he won't get any cards from Necro. I mean, he's got to go off. He has to go off and try to win the game here. I'm just wondering if the Flusterstorm is completely lethal, rather than just killing this turn. I mean, what if he goes off but saves a Wheel of Fortune, for example?
Right, because Reid will gain some life. Maybe.
Time Walk. Interesting.
So this is why he should have left up Mana Drain.
Interesting. Till Time Walk resolves.
Right.
Is Reid Duke so good that he can play around Flusterstorm? Is that possible?
I don't know.
You can't beat Flusterstorm with a Storm deck, right?
Yeah, you can. You can.
The wheel. Oh, you Mana Drains it.
Oh, no.
Mana Drain means Flusterstorm's out of play.
Right.
He doesn't have the blue mana for the Flusterstorm anymore.
The Annul was terrible. Is what
he has the Pyroblast for the Mana Drain.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Casting...
that Annul was not good.
Casting the Annul was really unnecessary.
Wow, so Reid's going to resolve Wheel of Fortune. Right. He's going to draw 7. He's got 2 lands untapped.
Right.
He's got a sky-high Storm count.
But Force of Will will be...
His opponent does draw 7 cards. It is possible for one of them to be Force of Will. But he tapped all his blue mana. He annulled Mana Crypt which made it impossible.
What is he tapping?
Spin the top.
Why?
Parry for Force of Will. I think maybe he only knows 2 cards. I think he knows all 3.
Oh, he can't do Force of Will. He has no cards in his hand.
Yeah.
What is he doing here?
He's acting like he's got a blue mana. Did he float a blue mana somewhere? Where did he float a blue mana? You can't cast that
Now
for
he's gonna have
colorless,
to dis-
dude.
now he's gonna have
He
to
thinks it's
discard.
Phyrexian mana? Oh, wow. Taylor Pratt is shaking his head. He just messed that up. He did not realize he was out of blue mana.
Oh, he thought it was mental misstep.
I think he thought it was, like, could be paid with Phyrexian mana or something. Look at him shake his head. Wow. Taylor Pratt just lost track of what was going on and turned off his own Flusterstorm voluntarily. Well,
Wow.
accidentally.
Accidentally.
Turned off his own Flusterstorm accidentally against the Storm combo deck. So Reid got to draw 7. I
Well, he
see a
couldn't have- I mean, he
Ruby. I
could have-
see a Twister.
I mean, the top thing was a mess up, but that didn't matter. It was
No.
already
The mess
over.
up was earlier. The annul was the mistake.
Yeah.
The annul was the mistake, and he just didn't realize he was turning off Flusterstorm. He was just like, all right, I'll mana drain, you fight back. I'm going to go get my Flusterstorm, and uh-oh.
Yeah.
I can't cast this anymore.
Not.
So I see Dark Ritual in Reid's hand. Yeah. He's got a Duress to see check on Force of Will. He's also got a Taxian Probe, I believe. Oh, Mind's Desire. Wow, that Dark Ritual gets him to 6 for Mind's Desire. I don't know the storm count, but it seems like it's plenty. It's the official. Yeah. But Reid shuffles every time. It's random is random, right? You don't have to shuffle every time. We'll see if he's improved his Mind's Desire tech since the last time he was on camera.
Well, his deck's got more chock full of threats this time, I think.
Yes. And Taylor is just shaking his head. Gataxian Probe. Oh, he has improved his tech.
Yeah.
Tendrils. And there's the hand. Reid Duke, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
2-1 through to the semifinals. Wow. He can beat Flusterstorm with his Storm deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure he beat it, but yeah.
Yeah, Taylor just sort of
Yeah, Taylor punted it.
had a
I mean,
mental lapse.
if he leaves up Flusterstorm mana, then